Let me ask you something simple. How many times today did you think about doing something important only to push it to later? Maybe you plan to read a chapter, finish an assignment, clean your room, work on your business, or even exercise. You knew what you should be doing, but that first step felt heavy, almost like a wall you could not pass. If that sounds familiar, then you are definitely not alone. And that is why this video might be the breakthrough you have been looking for. Today, we are going to break down a simple method that psychologists, entrepreneurs, athletes, and students use to boost productivity without stress. It is called the 2-minute rule, and if you use it correctly, it can double your focus faster than any other technique. You do not need a complicated system. You do not need expensive gadgets. You do not need long motivational speeches. You only need 2 minutes. Here is the truth most people never realize. Motivation rarely comes before you start a task. Motivation comes after you begin. It shows up once your mind enters motion. But most of us never reach that moment because we keep waiting for motivation to come first. This is the trap, and the 2-minute rule is the escape. What the 2-minute rule actually means. The rule is simple. When you want to build a habit or begin a task, reduce the first step into something you can complete in 2 minutes. Want to read more? Open the book and read 1 page. Want to get fit? Put on your shoes and do a 2-minute stretch. Want to write? Write 1 simple sentence. Want to clean your room? Arrange 1 corner. This is the heart of the rule. The goal is not to finish the whole thing. The goal is to make starting easy. Once you start, you unlock momentum. And momentum is more powerful than motivation. Momentum is what pulls you forward without force. It changes your relationship with work from something you resist into something that feels natural. Let us take a deeper look. In psychology, this is called the gateway habit. A gateway habit is a tiny action that opens the door to a larger behavior. It is like priming your brain to switch from idle to active mode. Your brain is always trying to save energy, so anything that looks difficult triggers resistance, but anything that looks small feels safe. When your brain sees a task that requires only 2 minutes, it says yes easily. And once you begin, the resistance disappears. Why 2 minutes is not random? So why 2 minutes? It is not just a catchy number. It is based on how the brain handles effort. 2 minutes is short enough that your mind does not feel threatened. It feels manageable. It feels harmless. You do not need willpower to start something tiny. Think about it this way. If I asked you to clean your entire house, you might instantly feel tired. But if I asked you to wash 1 plate, you would do it without thinking twice. This is exactly how the 2-minute rule works. You create a psychological doorway that leads you into the task without pressure. And once you are inside, it becomes much easier to keep going. Studies show something interesting about the human brain. Once you begin a task, your mind naturally wants to continue it. This is because of something called the Zeigarnik effect. It is the tendency for the brain to stay alert when a task is incomplete. In other words, open loops keep pulling your attention. If you read 1 page, your brain becomes curious about the next. If you write 1 sentence, your mind wants to finish the thought. This is why the 2-minute rule works like magic. You are using your brain's natural psychology to your advantage. Another reason this rule is powerful is identity. Every time you complete a small task, you cast a vote for the type of person you want to become. Read 1 page, you become the kind of person who reads. Write 1 sentence, you become the kind of person who writes. Exercise for 2 minutes, you become the kind of person who moves daily. Identity shapes behavior more than discipline, and tiny wins shape identity. How to use the rule to boost your focus daily. Let us turn this into something practical. Step 1, decide the habit or task you want to improve. Study, fitness, work, writing, cleaning, business, anything. Step 2, break it down to the smallest version that takes 2 minutes. Studying becomes opening your notes and reading 1 paragraph. Working on your business becomes planning for 2 minutes. Cleaning becomes arranging 1 part of your desk. Step 3, commit to doing that small action every time. You can stop after 2 minutes if you want. That is the secret that makes the brain trust the process. But here is what usually happens. You will not want to stop. 2 minutes will turn into 5. 5 will turn into 15. And before you know it, you are fully focused without forcing anything. You are taking advantage of something called the activation energy principle. This is the idea that the hardest part of any task is starting. Once you pass that initial energy barrier, the rest becomes easier. The 2-minute rule helps you cross that barrier with almost zero resistance. Using the rule to defeat procrastination forever. Let us talk about something that affects nearly everyone: procrastination. People often think procrastination is laziness. It is not. Procrastination is usually fear. Fear of failing, fear of struggling, fear of imperfection, fear of discomfort. The 2-minute rule removes the emotional weight. It reduces the task to something so small that the fear disappears. The moment you begin, the brain switches from avoidance mode to engagement mode. This is why it works even for long tasks like studying for exams, building a business, writing a book, or exercising. When procrastination loses its power, discipline becomes easier to maintain. You start to develop something called low-friction productivity. You make progress without pressure and without stress. You show up because the task feels light instead of heavy. Over time, something remarkable happens. Your brain begins to associate action with ease. You stop avoiding tasks and start entering them with confidence. That is how you transform procrastination from a daily struggle into a simple memory. Deep dive examples that show the rule in action. Here are a few real-life scenarios that show how powerful this rule can be. A writer struggling with creative block decides to write one sentence each morning. Within a month, the writer completes an entire chapter without forcing it. A student who avoids studying begins by reviewing notes for 2 minutes daily. Soon, 2 minutes become 30. Their grades skyrocket. A fitness beginner who hates working out starts with 2 minutes of stretching each day. After a few weeks, they feel motivated enough to do full workouts. An entrepreneur trying to stay consistent with daily planning starts by reviewing goals for 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes evolve into full productive work sessions. A person trying to clean a messy home begins by arranging one small area each day. The habit grows. The home becomes organized without feeling overwhelmed. Every example has the same pattern. The small action creates momentum. The momentum builds focus. The focus produces results. Troubleshooting and common mistakes. Before we wrap up, let me clear one thing. The 2-minute rule is not a shortcut for the full task. It is a doorway. Some people make the mistake of turning the 2 minutes into the entire goal. The rule is meant to help you start. If you only ever do 2 minutes, you will not grow. But if you allow the 2 minutes to pull you into flow, that is where the transformation happens. Another mistake is choosing tasks that are still too big. If opening your notes feels heavy, make the habit even smaller. Your goal is frictionless action. Try this today. Pick one task you have been avoiding, break it into something you can do in 2 minutes, then take that small step. You will be amazed at the amount of focus you unlock by simply starting. If this helped you, tap the like button, subscribe for more content that improves your life, and share this with someone who needs a gentle push into action.